I love it when fictional characters capture the vibe of their real-life counterparts really well. Take for example the zombie fungus from The Last of Us. And yes, of course we're talking about that show. It is a video about parasitic fungi, what do you expect? Just like the fictional cordyceps, fungal diseases in real life affect tons of people and can be really deadly. Histoplasma, for example, has a 1 in 2 chance of killing you if untreated. But they have a lesser known superpower, shapeshifting. A single species can take various forms like spores, filaments, and yeast. Yes, yeast, like the stuff you use in bread or, the infection. The show kind of demonstrates this concept in the form of multiple zombie types. Standard, blind one, big guy, and wall. And in the form of fiber-like mycelium networks that cover entire cities. Except in real life, single individuals can change shape to do things like fly, explode your white blood cells, or hide in your lungs. Hi, my name is Rhowan, master's student at UC San Diego, and this is We also now have a coffee, where you can help us make better material seeing as we are filming out of a college apartment. But more on that later. Fungi are surprisingly overpowered compared to plants and animals. Here are a few casual facts about fungi you might not know. The largest organism on Earth is a sprawling fungus network called the humongous fungus that weighs as much as 50 blue whales, at least. The fungi that infect plants can build up to 8 megapascals of pressure to burst plant cell walls, which is 32 times greater than your car's tire pressure. And fungal parasites destroy enough rice annually to feed 600 million people. That's more than the populations of basically every country except China and India. But you came here to learn about parasitic fungi in humans. Well, there's an entire most wanted list published by the US Center for Disease Control you can check out. But today we'll focus on 2. Our main characters are Coccidioides aka valley fever and Histoplasma aka spelunker's lung. Valley fever is the more gentle of the two. It's consistently present in the southeastern US, Central America, and South America. Symptoms include fatigue and night sweats, and there is currently no vaccine. Scientists expect it to become more of an issue as rising temperatures and dry winds make the disease spread faster. So here's how it spreads. Soil containing the fungus in mycelia form, which is kind of like a fiber network, must be disturbed, which releases airborne winged spores, which are then inhaled by humans. Once they're in there, they shapeshift again into balls, or spherules, which can spread throughout the lungs. It's kind of an uphill battle because spores can infiltrate and explode your white blood cells. Strangely though, researchers found that spores can only transform into spherules when white blood cells are present, in a way using your body's defenses against you. Like a bully that gets stronger when you talk back to them. Our other disease, spelunker's lung, also has an environmental and parasitic stage. The disease infamously sets up shop in caves. They start as hyphae in the soil, which then transform into spores that enter your lungs, where they turn into a yeast stage and spread everywhere. Which you'd think would be a deterrent for cave divers, but we've all seen the memes. And yes, they also infiltrate your white blood cells. That just seems to be the strategy with all of these guys. So to figure out how to stop these things, scientists study the genes that control their shapeshifting. The hope is we can understand how they go from their soil form to their lung parasite form, and develop better drugs to cut them off between stages. So how do they do that? Enter transcriptomics. This is a method that tells you what genes are being turned on based on what messenger RNA is present. Think of it like this. Just looking at genes is like looking at an entire library. Looking at messenger RNA tells you exactly which books are being checked out. Essentially, they use transcriptomics to investigate a ton of candidate genes in infected lab mice. What they found was a class of genes being expressed in both valley fever and spelunker's lung. These genes were the secret to the fungi's shapeshifting powers. In histoplasma, experiments showed that decreased light and increased temperature turned on these genes. So when it's starting to get dark, hot, and steamy in your lungs, light-sensing proteins were also shown to control the shape-shifting gene, and mice that were exposed to light survived longer than those kept in the dark. So we are getting one step closer. And there's more good news when it comes to valley fever. Scientists noticed that some mice had a genetic resistance to the disease. By looking at differences in gene and immune responses between these two groups, they found that the lung tissue of resistant mice recruited more immune cells like T cells and neutrophils than those without. T cells are kind of like rocket launchers that fire explosive missiles at invaders, and neutrophils are trappers that cast protein nets that scientists call, well, nets. NETs, neutrophil extracellular traps. See, we're good at naming things, just not as good as Sonic the Hedgehog protein, which is probably one of the best named biology things in all of biology. With all of the scientific work that's being put into researching these fungal parasites, we now have a better idea of how they work and which of their genes we can target to develop better antifungal drugs and better vaccines. For example, some of the most promising valley fever trial vaccines train our immune systems to recognize cells expressing the shapeshifting gene, which, if successful, could save more than 150,000 people in the US alone. The parasitic fungus's greatest superpower also turns out to be its greatest vulnerability, and if we can kill it when it shapeshifts, we can effectively cut its life cycle short. Once we have that, any kind of fungal apocalypse should be no big deal. This video is based on a talk given by Dr. Sinan Bayan at Scripps Institution of Oceanography. They handle diseases that can turn your lungs into fungus gardens on the regular, so you know they're hardcore. Their excellent work is made possible by funding from the National Institute of Health and collaborators at UCLA and UC San Diego. You can learn more about their work in the link down below. And if you'd like to be the white blood cells keeping the lungs of this channel alive and help us college kids pursue our little passion project, we now have a coffee where you can help out and receive small tokens of appreciation down the line. Yeah, thank you.